makeup is not makeuping, let me help you out. These are 10 tips for a better base. Hello my loves, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jasmine and we love all things beauty over here: makeup, hair, skincare. So if you love those things as well, make sure you subscribe. Today I'm going to give you 10 tips on how to get a better makeup base. If you see girls on the internet and wonder why is their makeup makeuping but my makeup isn't makeuping, hopefully at least one of these tips will make your makeup a little bit better. Now let's get into the tips. Tip number 1 for a better, more flawless base is your skincare. Skincare is extremely important, if not the most important step before you put any makeup on your face. Of course, you need to know your skin type. I have oily combo skin. It's mostly oily. I only really get dry below my nose, and the rest of my face, here, my nose, my forehead, all get very oily. My skincare journey has evolved over the last few years. I used to produce oil like an oil factory, and something that really helped me control my oils was niacinamide. I think the Inkey List or the ordinary niacinamide serums are really good if you have a lot of excess oil and need to get it under control. My skin is definitely still oily, but not as oily as it used to be because I learned to control it. No matter if you have dry skin or oily skin, you need to make sure your skin is as hydrated as possible before putting on your makeup. Dry skin, it's more obvious because you don't want your makeup to look ashy, papery. You don't want it to look dry, basically. You want it to look plump and hydrated. And if you have oily skin, you might be thinking, why do I need to add more hydration? It's already oily. Well, your skin is producing excess oil because it's not hydrated enough. Something that you may not know is that oily skin is oily because it's dehydrated. If your skin is producing excess oil, it's because you haven't hydrated it enough. So if you hydrate it with your skincare, then it won't produce as much excess oil. So my face is really dry right now. I washed it a little while ago. So this is the skincare I always do before I put on makeup. First, I'm going to start with a hydrating facial mist. This is the Caudalie Beauty Elixir. I'm almost through yet another bottle. I think this is my 3rd bottle of this. Sometimes, honestly, I put on too much of this. It just feels so soothing on the skin. I just love how it feels so much. Next, I'm going to go in with a toner. A toner, again, is going to help to moisturize your skin. And I really love using a milky toner. I think they just feel so soothing on the skin and provide even extra hydration that one that's a little bit thinner, a little bit more watery would not. I've been obsessed with The Ordinary's new milky toner. I also love the Laneige cream skin toner, but I've been using this Ordinary one since it just came out, and it's incredible. It feels so soothing on the skin. I'm also going to use this hyaluronic acid serum from The Ordinary. Hyaluronic acid is amazing for extra hydration as well. Sometimes I do add extra serums after this step, but for today I'm going to keep it simple and then just go to my moisturizer after. When I know I'm going to be wearing makeup, I love to use the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. This is actually a primer and moisturizer in one, so it's literally made to go underneath makeup. I'm sure a lot of y'all have been using this for years now, but honestly, I only recently got into it in the last year or so. Next, I'm going to do my eye cream. This is the Ole Henriksen Banana Bright Eye Cream. This is a really nice one because it's going to brighten your under eyes over time if you have dark circles. I do have some slight discoloration under my eyes, and you want to hydrate your under eyes because this is going to help your under eyes to not crease when you're doing your concealer, your setting powder, everything you're putting under your eyes. Hydration is really key. And you want to put your eye cream all over your orbital bone, not just underneath, all the way on the lid as well, all the way out here. And then I always have to moisturize my lips before I do my makeup, and just in general. This is the Fenty Skin Plush Put-In Intense Recovery Lip Mask. This is one of their new ones. This is the Kalahari Melon flavor. It smells so good. And I just love how you can twist it up and swipe it off so you don't have to worry about your nails digging into your lip mask. So hydrating, feels amazing on the lips. And that is it for skincare. As I said, skincare is one of if not the most important step before you do your makeup, and it's really going to affect how your makeup lasts throughout the day and just sits on your face as you're applying it. I look a lot more glowy and hydrated than I did at the beginning of this tip, and I love that for me. I do. You want your skin to look juicy, glowy, and hydrated. Tip number 2 for a more flawless base is priming correctly for your skin type. We already gave ourselves lots of hydration with our skincare, but if you have oily skin or combo skin, you can still prevent your oils from coming through your makeup with your primer. I showed you guys in my last makeup video that I love the One Size Oil Sucker Primer and also the Secure the Sweat. Another one I love is the Danessa Myricks Water Powder Serum. This one is amazing for oily skin. Honestly, I think it could be great for a lot of different skin types because this one is not as intense as the Oil Sucker. Today I'm going to use the Water Powder Serum, and if you have dry skin, then again, a hydrating primer is going to be your friend. I know some people debate on whether primer does anything or really works. In my opinion, I think it really can help. I don't think there's any harm in applying a primer. I'm also going to use the One Size Secure the Sweat in all the areas where I sweat, only using like a pea-size amount of this. After you apply any primer, you want it to sit for at least 1 to 3 minutes to allow it to set into your face. This will allow the primer to work as effectively as possible. And after I've let my primer sit for a little bit, I like to use my setting spray or some fixing spray before I apply any makeup products. This is the Makeup Revolution Super Fix Makeup Fixing Spray. I've had this for a minute, and I know y'all always ask me for more affordable makeup options, so I've put my Charlotte Tilbury down for today. And then using a fan, I'm also going to let this dry down completely. Tip number 3 for a better base is concealing and correcting. Color corrector is one of the best things you can add to your makeup if you have any type of hyperpigmentation of any kind, whether it's redness, darkness, anything. If you're a brown girl or a black girl like me, you might have hyperpigmentation under your eyes that is like a darker brown than the rest of your skin, and for me also around my mouth. So for this, you want to use an orange color corrector. If you have a deeper skin tone, you can probably use the shade that I'm using. They also have one that is, I think, 1 shade darker than this if you have very deep skin. And then if you're lighter than me, you may want to go for more of a peachy tone rather than an orange. And your color corrector should blend into the rest of your skin. You shouldn't have super orange skin after you use it, because then you're just going to have to use your makeup to cover up the orange. You know what I'm saying? After color correcting all my hyperpigmentation, I like to go in with a concealer to spot conceal any dark spots or blemishes that I have. I feel like for me this is more effective than a color corrector, because when you blend color corrector, it kind of shears out a little bit, as you see under my eyes, around my mouth. So I'm going to use my NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer. This is in the shade Dark to Cacao, and I'm just going to conceal any dark spots. You see how that like disappeared? And any blemishes. This is a very technique focused video, so I will definitely leave all the products that I'm using down in the description, so if you like any of them, you can use them. But if you're wondering why I might be skipping makeup steps or anything, it's because I'm trying to give you technique tips, not necessarily product tips. My next tip for a better base is having the right tools for you. You want to make sure you're using the right tools like powder puffs, brushes, sponges, pencils, all those kinds of things. You want to make sure you're using the right tools for the right steps of your makeup. So you don't want to use a foundation brush for your concealer, a blush brush for your foundation. You want to make sure that everything is used for their intended use. A little while ago, I asked you guys on my community tab if you want to see this video or a Makeup Tools 101 video, and this is the video that won. But if you guys still want me to make a video all about makeup tools and which ones are best to use when doing your makeup and how to use them, I can definitely still do that for you, because your tools will make or break your makeup. If you're using the wrong tools, or if you're using low quality tools, they can make your makeup look horrible even if you have great skills. Trust me, I have definitely been through it. My next tip for a better base is the order in which you apply some of your products. I think after foundation, a lot of us are taught to go in with concealer, contour, blush in a certain order. Usually concealer comes first, but honestly, I would say do your concealer after your contour / cream bronzer and your blush. So I'm going in with my bronzer first. This is the Juvia's Place cream bronzer, and I'm blending that out on my cheekbones. And make sure you blend upwards. I think doing these steps in this order makes sure that everything blends together more flawlessly. I think when you apply your concealer first, I think personally it makes it more difficult to blend your concealer in with your contour slash bronzer and your blush. I think there's just more blending work that needs to be done there, but when you do it last, it kind of blends itself in. And then also, little bonus tip, you can use your foundation brush that you use to blend your foundation to soften out any edges. So if you notice that you start to give yourself some harsh lines, just use your foundation brush to soften those edges up. After bronzer is your cream or liquid blush. I want to be a pink little princess today, so I'm going to use a pink liquid blush from Juvia's Place. And then when it comes to blending out your blush, you want to blend towards your under eye. I'm going to add another shade in with this one. I think I want more of a hot pink. When it comes to blending out your cream or liquid blush, you want to blend towards your under eye because, again, when we apply our concealer, this is going to help everything just blend together flawlessly and to prevent harsh lines from forming. And then finally, after this, you can apply your concealer. My next tip for a better base is to apply your setting spray over your cream and liquid base before you apply your powder. Again, I'm going to use my Makeup Revolution Super Fix spray. You can apply this before or after you blend out your concealer. And then, of course, you're going to let it dry down completely. Applying your setting spray before you put on powder is another step to help your makeup lock in and be more long-lasting. And I know we all want our makeup to last as long as possible. We're not putting it on so that it can slide off our face, right? So for me, I like to apply this before I blend out my concealer, but as I said, you can do it after. And you want the setting spray to dry down completely before you move on to your next step. My next tip for a better base is to blend. Blend, 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 and take your time with blending. I know this might sound obvious, like of course we have to blend jasmine when we're doing our makeup, but y'all don't be taking your time. And that's why you have harsh lines, and that's why your makeup doesn't give that flawless look. So when you're blending out your concealer, don't just leave it like this. You see how there's still a defined harsh line there? Make sure you're blending out the edges so that everything diffuses nicely into the skin. Something I always do when I'm blending out my concealer is keeping my other brushes that I used for my bronzer, my blush, and my foundation handy so that I can go back in and make them blend more flawlessly together. So I used a bronzer on my forehead, so I'm going back in with my bronzer brush, not applying any more product, but I'm just making sure the ends where I applied the concealer are all diffused. Same thing goes with your under eye. I like to blend the edges of my concealer first to make sure that it blends into the blush flawlessly. And you see how having the blush already there just made everything just blend so much easier? This is so much better than putting the blush on top of your concealer. And then after I blend the edges out, then I'll move in closer. I actually like to use a different brush to blend out the highlighting concealer. I just feel like it helps the ombre effect of my under eye to still be there instead of just blending the two colors together. And then again, I can go back in with my other concealer brush just to diffuse the edges and make sure everything is blended out really, really nicely. My next tip for having a better base is not being powder shy. A lot of y'all want to put a little sprinkle of powder here and there. That is unacceptable if you want a better base. For my under eye, first I'm going to go in with a pressed powder. You see how flawless that makes my under eye? Like, I personally like to apply my brightening pressed powder everywhere that I applied my concealer. So this would be like under eyes, forehead, above the lip, and the chin. Basically in the center of my face. I'm also using a pressed powder to set every other area of my face. This one is close to my skin tone. I'm also going in with a loose setting powder from One Size to bake my face as well. I really think the key to a flawless base is using both pressed powder and loose powder. This will make sure that your makeup is locked in, it's going to stay on all day, and powder is also the key to getting that flawless looking skin. It's just going to smooth out any texture. Of course, all skin has texture, but it's really going to blur out your pores and any texture that might be there. Of course, it's not going to disappear. It's still going to look like skin because it is skin, but there is definitely a difference in skin that has powder on it and skin that does not. So powder is your friend when it comes to doing your makeup, to set your makeup, and to just give you that flawless look. Just look at that bake. Look at the brightness, the smoothness, the flawlessness. Like, trust friend, if you want a better base, use more powder. I understand for the dry skin girlies that you might be hesitant to because you don't want your makeup to be dry. What I recommend, especially if you bake, you don't have to use as much powder as somebody with oily skin would if you're going to bake. You also don't have to bake. You can still press your loose powder in without baking it, but also you can, and I'm still going to do this even though I have oily skin, I'm going to take my setting spray again, my Makeup Revolution Super Fix, and I'm going to set my face. Especially if you have dry skin, you want to do this, but honestly, making it a habit to use your setting spray all throughout your makeup routine is chef's kiss. It's an amazing way to make sure your makeup is long lasting. You see the difference? You see how my face, everything just melts together? Don't sleep on your setting spray, friend. It's not just for the end of your makeup. My next tip for a better base is to be a little bit heavier handed. And honestly, this is very personal. This is up to your interpretation. But personally, I feel like the people with the best bases, they have on a lot of bronzer, a lot of blush, one or the other. They pick one that they love. I personally love both bronzer and blush, so I like to apply a lot of both. But if you're somebody that usually goes in with a pretty light hand, maybe one day try adding a little bit more product. Of course, you still want to be careful with how you apply it so that nothing looks muddy or messy, and you don't want to create any harsh lines, but just see what you would look like with a little more bronzer, a tad more blush. You don't have to look like me or anything. I know I apply a lot, and you shouldn't be shy when it comes to your makeup either. It's fun, have fun with it, and experiment. It's okay if you mess up, it comes off. Make sure that when you're choosing your blush and your bronzer, they're ones that are going to suit your complexion. Especially if you have a deep skin tone, you want to make sure that the blushes and the bronzers that you're using are going to enhance your skin tone and they're not going to make you look ashy. So for my pink blush, I like to use a hot pink because that flatters my skin the best. I always hear people say, oh, if you have dark skin, you have to wear orange. You don't have to wear orange. Orange is very beautiful on our complexion. Of course, I love orange blush. You all know that. But if you want to wear pink, you definitely can. But it needs to be a hot pink. It needs to be something that has a little bit of depth to it and not ashiness. And like I said, don't be afraid to go in. Last tip for a better base is to make sure you always use setting spray at the end of your makeup. You might already do this, but make sure you're using the right setting spray for you. If you like more of a dewy skin-like base, you might want to use something like the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray or the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Set and Refresh Spray. If you like more of a matte look, you might want to use the NYX Matte Setting Spray or the One Size Until Dawn, which is one of my favorites. And you can also use this Revolution Fixing Spray that we've been using all throughout our makeup. Always, always, always apply your setting spray at the end of your makeup. I recommend using two, a fixing spray like this one and a setting spray. My favorite combo is the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray and the One Size Until Dawn. And those are my 10 tips for a better base. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a new tip or two, if not all 10. If you guys want any more tips, definitely let me know. I definitely have more to share. As I said, all of the products that are on my face right now, whether I mention them or not, will be in this description below so that you guys can get them if you want. Make sure to give this video a like, it really helps me out. And also make sure to leave a comment below. I really want to hear from you. I want to talk to you in the comments. What was a new tip that you learned from this video? Let me know. And if you have any tips for a better base, leave it in the comments as well and help the girls out. Make sure you also subscribe to my channel and turn on the post notification bell so you don't miss another video. And I'll see you in the next one. Love you. Bye.